Mr Acting Deputy President. And I want to talk tonight about the electorate of Swan. It's the electorate I live in. I've lived there for many, many years, and it's an electorate that I know really well. And I can say proudly that the Swan electorate under Labor governments, both federal and state Labor governments, has been well served by investment in roads and public transport in the electorate of Swan. And that's because Labor believes that roads and good public transport go hand in hand. And it's a shame that neither the Turnbull government nor the local member, Mr Steve Irons, believes in public transport. And it seems that a big part of Mr Irons' parliamentary career so far has been advocating for a freeway on-ramp for the city of South Perth. And it might seem a trivial thing to bring to the Senate, but you know, if I'd been a little more organised, I would have sought leave to table a flyer that Mr Irons put through the electorate, but I don't think it's fair to lump it on the government without notice, even though it is one of their members. But it's headed up, Irons takes Prime Minister to Manning Road. Wow. Fancy spending your communications budget on a flyer that heads that up. Well, whoop-de-doo. He took the Prime Minister to Manning Road. Well, let's see what happened. The flyer goes on to say, since 2009, it's now 2016, apparently an on-ramp to the freeway is something Mr Irons has been campaigning about. Now, all this came as news to me, and I am a constituent in the electorate of Swan, but I didn't realise that Mr Irons had been spending a substantial part of his time in the electorate of Swan advocating for an on-ramp to the freeway. Seems a bit extraordinary to me. But again, in 2009, he apparently told Labor that we needed to do more on transport. And if you have a look at what Labor's delivered in the seat of Swan, there's been the upgrade to Great Eastern Highway, there's been the fabulous Gateway project, as I'm sure West Australian senators, when they drive to the airports, will notice that fabulous new road system. All Labor's doing, nothing Mr Irons can take credit for. So I guess he's been scratching his head thinking, gee whiz, you know, I'm looking pretty bad on roads. There's nothing I can pin the Liberal badge to in this electorate. I know. I'll you know, bring out my since 2009 desire to get an on-ramp at Manning Road. Anyway, the Prime Minister, you know, bless him, went to Manning Road. So where are we up to with that? Well, of course, a lack of a ramp is frustrating, I get that, but actually not having decent public transport is even more frustrating, and we've seen that the Abbott and Turnbull governments are not really committed to public transport. But of course, at a time when money's tight and the WA government is breaking probably as many promises as the Turnbull government, the Main Roads Department in Western Australia estimates the cost of the proposed on-ramp to Kwinana Freeway to be somewhere within the vicinity of $10 to $18 million. So no wonder Mr Irons has been advocating unsuccessfully since 2009 for this Kwinana Freeway on-ramp at Manning Road. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So imagine, as I read further and I see in the flyer, apparently the Prime Minister thought it warranted the government to consider funding it. So here is Mr Irons has put this flyer throughout the electorate of Swan, which is nothing more than gobbledygook about not even a promise that, of course, the Turnbull government would break, but it's not even a commitment, nothing solid, but maybe it's worthy of consideration. Like, what a waste of taxpayers' money. And quite seriously, I'm sure if Mr Irons took the time to treat his electorate of Swan with some respect, he would see that there are many things that are needed in Swan, that don't start at the top of the list with an on-ramp at Manning Road onto Kwinana Freeway. I would suggest that Mr Irons has a good look at his electorate and starts to focus on the issues that really matter. Thank you, Mr Acting Deputy President.